Welcome back to MMA Gems, where we turn fight, film, tape, studying into straight USD, or honestly, Australian currency, anything, because cashing people around the world. Another great week after UFC Perth, and another great Dana White Contender Series card for our Gem members. And we're here for another pay-per-view event with a double championship card coming up. We have Dvalishvili taking on Corey Sandhagen, and then we have the rematch of Alex Poatan Pereira taking on Big Ank, um, Ankalaev here. So we have honestly a stacked card. The Perth card was beautiful. We had some big hits there, some dog snipes, just about everything you can want and in a card. And we have another card here. I believe it's in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. And without further ado, it's me and Hot Hand today. I couldn't get a hold of Mo, and your announcement on Unk real quick. Unk's supposed to give us an ETA, gave us some plays as well for the gems for the last card, but he's supposed to be back within 2 weeks or so. I know he's getting married shortly, so he's on a long hiatus. He'll be back shortly though. He swept his picks. He had Bellotto plus 7.5 and a bunch of other stuff. But without further ado, we'll move into this card for this week. And we start off with the women's fight. Veronica Hardy taking on Brogan Walker. Veronica Hardy, uh, pretty bad. Not gonna lie. In terms of how she looks, she's a gorgeous girl and a gorgeous fighter. She's taking on Brogan Walker, who's as tough as nails, but overall, this is a questionable matchup setup here, as Veronica Hardy has skyrocketed to all the way to a minus 700 favorite. Um, Decent age gap in this fight, and Walker hasn't fought in over 2 years since 2023. I'm not gonna pry too much into it. Brogan Walker has some jitsu accolades. Hardy pretty well rounded, but she's overall mostly a striker with technical, good volume, balanced skill set, and I'm gonna have to side with Hardy here. Minus 600, minus 700, get her at. But other than that, there's not much you can play around with. You can look at Hardy plus over 1.5 as minus 300, or Hardy and over 2.5 minus 225. But now you're still stretching for a fight where Hardy's gap might even end up getting her a sub. Brogan Walker was finished by Juliana Miller, so even a blind under 2.5. When I checked, was plus 290 on DraftKings. I'm not saying to hammer a full unit or anything on it, but for this size of a gap, she might end up getting. What do you feel about this one, Hot Hand?
Yeah, I think this fight is absolutely disgusting. I mean, Veronica Hardy's a decision merchant. She's fighting Brogan Walker, who is also trash. Like you said, the age difference is 8 years. So I believe Walker's fucking old head ability against Veronica's no power. I think this fight's going to see the judges, but literally every single way you play it, besides the under, is chalk. Like the over isn't playable. Hardy's money line isn't playable. I wouldn't bet Walker if it was the last line I could bet on. So like I think this fight is a skip unless you see something you like a lot during live.
Yeah, we won't waste too much time here. We'll keep this one moving. We have Austin Vanderford taking on Muniz Brahimaj. Um, Brahimaj coming off of a sub of Billy Ray Goff, and Vanderford coming off of a short notice victory against Nikolay Veretennikov, who we'll be talking about later on. But these fighters come in here, and Austin Vanderford is getting even more juiced on his line since I made these graphics. But he he's wrestling heavy, high fight IQ, adaptable striker. He overall will bring the pressure to you just about anywhere. He is He is adaptable to shooting though. That's where he wants to do most of his work. He has good body kicks. Uh, and on the other side, you have Brahimaj, who's pretty much a submission specialist. If I'm not mistaken, 11 of his 12 victories are by submission. And I think almost every one of his fights in his career have ended in the first round. So he's a guy who's going in there and action's happening. Austin Vanderford's going to bring the pressure. Not a lot that I like in this one either. Betting wise, or Vanderford's line at minus 300. I think we're getting a little steep, and Brahimaj is used to short fights and not going the distance. I would, if I had to make a prediction overall, I think Vanderford by submission, or not by submission, Vanderford by decision would be my overall lean, but the lines aren't really speaking to me. Uh, Live play might be in order here because if it does leave the first round, the stuff is obviously going to swing in favor of Vanderford. But the way he shoots, I don't think that he's going to get caught in one of these front chokes from Muniz. Muniz always has good value on a submission if you want to hedge anything, but Vanderford by decision is probably my lean. I kind of want to take a stab at Muniz finish only money line at plus 140 and snag up that choke or something. And he's never been knocked out. The only finish on his record was because of him fighting Max Griffin and his ear fell off. Like his ear was like dangling off his head, so it wasn't really. It was a doctor stoppage. So I, I'm I'm not in love with this fight either. I think Vanderford's a bit too juicy for my liking. So how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I think Vanderford wins here. I think he's going to implement a good wrestling game. And like you said, I don't think Brahimaj is. I mean, he's a serious BJJ threat, but I don't think he's going to be slick enough to catch such a skilled wrestler like Vanderford here. I mean, the only way I really see Brahimaj catching a sub is if Vanderford gasses later in the fight and then is shooting dumb takedown attempts or like is in a scramble and is just content with giving his back. But Vanderford is going to set the pace, set the pressure, land the bigger strikes, work in clinch and wrestling work, and run control time. Uh, there isn't any fighter props yet, but I would be interested in seeing what they set Vanderford's takedown line at because I think a over is going to be nice because I think Brahimaj is going to be able to possibly get up a few times or just not get finished on the ground. And Vanderford kind of racks him up. But like I said, I think Vanderford wins, but I don't want to pay minus 298 for him. So I'm going to look for the takedown prop and anything live.
Yeah, um, not in love with this fight, but like we said, if we have a chance for live plays or something, what we stated. But until face offs and stuff, I really don't have much. Let me move over to Puna Hwali or Puna Soriano taking on Nikolay Veretennikov. And overall in this matchup, what I'm just looking at is uh, Veretennikov getting up there in age. I know Soriano is not young himself, but he was up at 180, 185. It did benefit him to come down to 170. He had no business being up there. And Soriano, what you're getting with him is big power and a good finish rate, effective striking, and once he gets in, he has fast knockouts. Once he gets in the rhythm, so that pair with his decent wrestling and takedown offense, where he's like showing willingness to mix levels and stuff. I think he has a slight edge over Vertenikov here, who is like a durable boxer style. He does have sambo background and is durable, but I don't see his level or his stuff coming into play here, and I think Soriano can either knock him out or control his just about anywhere he wants to. I think he has good striking as well. Veretennikov, I think this line might be a little. It's getting a little too juiced for me. I'm not paying minus 340 for Soriano here, especially Veretennikov coming off a win. But overall, what I think in my head is just he's younger. Uh, he has more power. I know Veretennikov has crisper boxing and the height and reach advantage, but he's fought lower level competition. and split decision against Prado, split decision against Danny Barlow. I do think if Veretonnikov still finds the power and can impose his reach, he can make it interesting with the boxing. Maybe cover a spread if he doesn't get knocked out. But uh, I think that Poonwally has a better fight IQ than Francisco Parada, who pretty much only lost that fight against Veretonnikov because of the lack of the fight IQ. So I think Soriano can edge this one out, either a knockout or on the cards. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I think Soriano is going to be the better fighter here. After seeing Veretennikov against Prado, I think Prado won that fight. I had bet Veretennikov as well. So, I mean, that says something. I think he was doing like such stupid ass shit in that fight, like throwing spinning kicks, not even like remotely closely landing them, and then just giving his back to him while trying to throw him. So like I can't watch that and then bet on him his next fight. He also gassed extremely early and was just I don't know. He just looked sloppy late in the fight as well. And I think Soriano is legit, but like you said, his line is pretty juiced here in this fight. So if I were to play it at all, I would just use it as a straight bet and take Soriano knockout. But besides that, I don't really know. I think it's going to be a round two knockout. I think Veretennikov is going to slow down again and make a mistake, and Soriano's going to connect. But either way, I wouldn't play a money line. If you're going to play something, I would play the KO prop.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with the KO prop, and I'm also taking a look right now at the under 2.5. But even though, like, Veretennikov does have knockouts on his resume, uh, both finishing and being finished, he is a durable guy, and he does have boxing acumen. I do think Soriano's going to get the finish, but if you don't want to go that route, the under 2.5 is minus 145 on DraftKings right now. That could possibly be a look. Fight round three, not to start. Uh, you're looking at a price tag of about minus 115 on DraftKings as well. So if you're leaning towards the under, you might as well take Punwali knockout. But if you want to play it safer, I don't really know how else to play. I think Veretennikov's only way to win this fight is by decision. So if you were to take like Punwali Soriano knockout only money line, but that's minus 450. So I don't know. You're playing with juice there. So we'll just move on and not try to force anything. And now we get on over to Patchy Mix, where we have elite grapplers colliding, and it could Mix rebound off of his UFC debut humiliation and get at this durable former KSW champion. Yeah, Patchy Mix. Like I said, coming off a disappointing loss against Batista, where he just didn't look himself. He couldn't get the striking going, didn't even look to grapple. It was just a complete wash. And you know what you're getting with Patrick Mix? He's a grappler. He has extremely high submission rate. One of the top back take games out there. And then you have Wiklacz, who's obviously relatively unknown, making his debut here. Former multiple time KSW champion. He's more of a pressure wrestler. He does have submissions in his game too. He controls pace well. He does have no knockout power in his striking. He has some teeps and stuff like that where he could do stuff on the feet. He's pretty quick, but he has no knockouts on his resume. Not really any power, and that's against worse competition. I know Patchy has some questionable competition, but he has taken on the likes of Magomedov, some other guys over there in Bellator that I rate slightly higher than Wilkatz's uh, resume. Wilkatz V Cats, whatever his last name is, he 5 of his fights on his resume, or 4 or 5, are against the same dude. It was all right, but I don't think that he's UFC level or Patchy Mix level. I don't know. I think Patchy Mix gets a rebound here. Uh, and I think that he gets it done probably by decision. if I had to guess. I don't think that he's gonna get the sub here. I think he's gonna be calm coming into the first round, look to dominate, and look to get back in the win column. If you're looking at odds here, he's creeping over minus 300 now on the money line. So I'm not saying to play that. Uh, Although I do rate his line maybe definitely closer than that. I wouldn't probably play his money line on something that's huge, but if you're looking at maybe the an over in this one could be appropriate. Of over 2.5 at minus 166. I don't think Wiklacz sits him down, and once he gets the sub, I don't really see Patchy Mix using his hands to sit him down either. But Mix is my side for this, my prediction wise. How do you feel?
Yeah, I like Mix too. I mean, he didn't look like himself in his debut against Batista, but as we seen, like the fighter or not, Batista has been just racking up wins and beating skilled fighters, and I think he just completely shut down Patchy and prevented a style that he wasn't used to. So, with that being said, I think Patchy's going to come out and look a whole world's better. I think he's going to really find the flow state here. Now he's fighting the debut guy. He got that jitter fight out of him. You know, we've seen Patchy do tremendous things before he's stepped into the UFC. So I think Patrick Mix here is going to be a pretty confident bet. I think he wins. I don't like the value on it, but I think he's very live for a sub. I think he could also find the KO in this fight, but I like his minus 3.5 bet, and that's minus 150. I think if it does go to decision, he wins pretty confidently. So give me Patchy minus 3.5 because I think the sub is also live as well.
Ooh, a minus spread. That's rare that I hear one of those from you. But
Bro, I never even played a minus spread on UFC before, but I don't know. I like it here.
uh, yeah, I don't mind that play either. I think Bullcat does have some value at the current line though. If Patchy still continues to show some lack of fight IQ, so don't put all your eggs in one basket. But we'll keep it pushing there. That's a crazy at the prelim fight. Now you move over to Macy Chiasson taking on Giannis Santos, where you have experience colliding with the size and the pace. Chiasson's reach is gonna be big in this one. A southpaw fighter with that height and reach advantage, aggressive striking, strong clinch work. She's pretty well rounded overall. And this is a jump up in competition from Giannis Santos after beating State. Giannis Santos does have good boxing fundamentals, durability, experience, which is top comp, but she has less power and she could be outpaced. And she doesn't get to her stuffs, which she did in her last fight. She can't get to her stuffs here. I think she's gonna. I think she's gonna get moved around pretty much wherever in this fight by Chiasson. I don't like. I don't really have a lot of trust for Chiasson, so you won't see me really hammering her anywhere. But I think her size and the pace, like I said earlier, is gonna be too much for Giannis Santos. And even if it gets into a tactical stand up war, which is Giannis Santos' bread and butter, I think she still is gonna be able to compete and beat Yana on the feet and mixing that takedown threat. So I'm gonna lean Macy Chiasson. Money line's actually creeping back under minus 200. So uh, I'm curious to where it would go. If it gets to around minus 170, I'm curious to take her in a parlay or something. Because I think she does have a clear edge in this one. I'm not paying minus 200. So we're going to see where this one gets done. I think I'm leaning Chiasson. Chiasson is also a finisher. If you look back at her resume, so be cautious on taking overs, trying to juice her up. I know Johanna Santos is unreliable on her own part, so be cautious trying to take a juiced over in this. But how do you feel? Hot end.
Yeah, Chiasson, I think she's a lock, and for me to use that in a woman's fight is absolutely crazy. I mean, she's fought way better competition. Her talent level is way better. She's more reliable. She's better on the ground. I think she has mean striking. She's way bigger. I think she's gonna big body this bitch. And I think she's going to make Santos fold under the pressure. I think Chiasson's going to set a crazy pace. I think she's going to strike, use the clinch game, and I think that she's going to try and get it down to the ground. I think that her ground advantage, she's going to try and exploit it. I think she's going to look for the sub. I'm pretty sure it was at what, plus 450 for a sub.
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, I think the sub's a beautiful lotto play there. But I think Chiasson is very, very reliable for two leg here. Or once again, I think she's going to dominate this fight. I don't see a fight where Santos is going to outstrike her. And then when Chiasson tries to grapple her, if she's getting outstruck, that she doesn't secure a takedown. I can't see that happening. So once again, I like the minus on the spread here at plus 100. I think if it does go to decision, it's going to be Chiasson all the way because she doesn't really fade. And if she's winning in round one, she's going to win in round three as Santos fades away. And usually when Santos goes late in fights and she's getting beat up, she's getting finished. So give me Chiasson, money line in a lay. I like the spread and I like her sub prop as well.
Yeah, not. I think Chiasson does have a pretty clear edge here. At the same time, it is women's MMA, and Chiasson is coming off of a loss, so do pay attention to that.
Yeah,
But
that
we'll
is true.
keep
It is
things
true.
moving. We got Willie Cat Daniel Santos taking on Ju Sang Yu. Santos, Diego Lima, a Shootbox Diego Lima product, Charles Oliveira team, taking on Ju Sang Yu, the Korean Zombie team. Um, I think his nickname is Zombie Junior. He's even trying to like continue the legacy. Has fought in the Zombie Fight League, obviously, like most guys over in South Korea. And you have Daniel Santos coming off of a big win. I wouldn't call it an upset since the odds were very close, but he came up in weight, still missed weight. Came up in weight. He looked out of shape and still managed to get a very convincing 30-27 win over the Korean Tiger. So uh I can't really complain about Santos coming up what he did. And then you have Ju Sang Yu, who had an extremely impressive win. Not impressive as in caliber of opponent, but highlight knockout check hook, flatlining Jekka Sergi, who I'm extremely low in, and I don't believe is UFC caliber, but uh, he has extremely explosive striking. He's able to pick you up from the pick you apart from the outside. He models his game over Gregor, I believe he said before. He has quick, explosive offense, avoids being countered with some good head movement, and he survives early pressure. But I will say his grappling is untested. 4 of his 9 victories have come via way of decision against some questionable competition who he hasn't been put away. And you have Daniel Santos, who obviously has great takedown offense. You saw in his last fight, he has the submissions just like a Lima shootbox product would. Great striking, aggressive striking, good walk down power. And I think he's well rounded as well, durability wise as well. He has been hurt, but he has never been knocked out in his career. That's something to pay attention to here against a guy like you who um has struggled to get finished against questionable competitions in the past. Uh, so I'm looking overall at taking Willie Cat here. I know a lot of people are on Ju Sang Yu as like the dog of the week. Um, but I just when I look at this fight, what does you bring besides the precision and speed rather than what the Korean Tiger brought, who had way more power, did have crisp striking as well, had way better takedown defense and jiu-jitsu. Daniel Santos feels threatens in the feet. He's gonna close the distance. He's gonna get those legs and he's gonna take down you. Same thing that he did last fight. I think he's a favorite for a reason. He did open at around minus 150, crept up into plus money territory, and came back down. So money's coming back on Daniel Santos, and I think for good reason. I'm gonna side with him. And I also would like an over prop in this one. Over 2.5, looking a bit juiced at minus 170 ish. A fight to go the distance prop would be around minus 150. So that's more around the realm of what I'd like to take. But I'm around with Willie Cat here. How do you feel about it, though, hot hand?
Yeah, I'm liking you here in this matchup. I think his boxing is tremendous, and I think it's gonna present problems for Santos here. The only thing that I'm kind of iffy on is if Santos could work in leg kicks on you and it affects you's boxing because as a boxer, he's front foot heavy, and when you're front foot heavy, you more times often get thrown 100 leg kicks because of that. But Santos has the grappling advantage as well. I think he's going to look to exploit that. And if he could spend time in the clinch and grapple you, it could wear the power and wear the arm threat out and use boxing. So I think this fight is extremely, I think it's a 50-50 fight. I think it's either going to be you that shows good takedown defense and shows that he's the better striker, or it's going to be Santos that works in a little bit of everything and drags you into deep waters. But I like I was like in sub only money line as like a parlay piece at minus 225 for Daniel Santos.
Yeah, I do
Uh
like that a lot.
I think there's no way you is going to sub Santos. I think Santos could find a late sub like with a back take or something if he does show that he's the better wrestler and grappler. So I think that's a safe play. I don't I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this fight. I'm extremely mixed on it, but I do lean you. But like I said, it's a 50-50 fight. And if I were to bet anything, it would be the sub only for Santos.
Yep. We'll keep this one pushing, and we'll go over to Farid Basharat taking on Chris Gutierrez. We have undefeated Basharat. This is not the one who got flatlined by Ricky Stone. This is the way better one. Taking on Chris Gutierrez, the ultimate gatekeeper. Basharat, if you don't know about him, he has an excellent mix of grappling and striking. Extremely strong takedown defense and offense, and good striking accuracy. He's able to stay on his bicycle, employ good kickboxing, good hands, get good clinch work. He's strong. Then you have Gutierrez. You know what you're getting with him for the most part. He's getting somewhat well around in this, but I will question his grappling. Um, he has good kicks. That's probably his best game. He's gonna kick to all levels. He's gonna kick. Really sharp striking accuracy and defense overall. Takedown offense is pretty weak, and takedown defense is really questionable. Suffers against grappling heavy opponent. And although he's only been finished one time, and it was by a sub against Raoni Barcelos back in I think 2018. Um, He has been put into some compromised position. Quang Lee on short notice came up from LFA and almost got a sub over him as a big dog. Had his back multiple times and took him down with relative ease. So that's something to pay attention to. You look at Chris Gutierrez's resume. There's not a lot of people that are jumping off the page besides like Song Yadong that are really like, wow, this is a quality opponent for Gutierrez. So I think Basharat has the edge here. Um, I think his grappling and on the feet too. I think he will easily be able to compete. I just don't think he should be able. I just don't think he should get into extended striking battles with Gutierrez. I don't think Gutierrez is going to be able to stuff Basharat for an extended period of time. I don't think he's knocking him out. I actually think that Basharat's going to be able to get him to the ground and look for submission. I really like him this edge for Basharat here. Obviously, the popular play is going to be and that's probably where the money be for a lot of people. But I think it is sneaky. Gutierrez, he gives up a lot of spots, and I think Foster has decent enough IQ and wrestling background to know that once he gets on the mat, that's where he fight with uh the least resistance. So that's where I'm gonna side. I'm gonna side Basharat by sub as my official prediction. And betting wise, you got Basharat absolutely shredded on his line at minus four something, almost minus 500. Um, even the spread's 5.5. I would be curious to look on a takedown prop for Basharat, maybe an over 1.5 with the with with his money line. But still, with a Gutierrez fight, you're always gonna get a juice over, no matter who the opponent is. Isn't much on the feet, but he's usually fighting strikers or guys who aren't as menacing on the ground as a Basharat. So I'd probably side with, I don't know. I like Farid though a lot in this spot. If you take that submission decision double chance, getting that at around minus 280. So you put that in a little two-legger with like AC Chiasson or someone along those lines, and you're looking at even money. How do you feel about that hot hand?
Yeah, I'm in the corner of the dog here. I think he has experience, and I think Basharat is. Yeah, he's extremely talented, but he really hasn't. I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Experienced something in the fight where, okay, it's not going the game plan. He hasn't really overcome any adversity in the octagon yet. And I think Gutierrez could present a problem. I mean, he has good striking. His takedown defense is in question. But I mean, if he doesn't get sub and drags this fight deep, I think he has a puncher's chance. I think he's way, way closer than plus 300, plus 360. And if you look back, his only two losses in the most past few years, it's been Pedro Munoz, who's a UFC vet, and it's Song Yidong, who's pretty good for the division. So I think Gutierrez definitely has a puncher's chance, and I don't like the line on this. I think the fight is going to go deep, but I do like Gutierrez plus 7.5 as a lay piece, and then I'm going to hedge that with Basharat by sub because I think Basharat can sub Gutierrez. But one thing I do see, I do think Basharat has a clear speed advantage, but Gutierrez has that Muay Thai background, heavy leg kicks, and I think he could chew that lead leg, slow down Basharat, and potentially get the hands going and put the paws on him. So I think Gutierrez has all the value on him. I like the plus 7.5, and I would hedge that with Basharat spice up.
Yeah, I don't hate the plus 7.5. You're getting that at minus 160, relatively good. The regular lines at plus 5.5 at minus 125, and if you want to get a little creative and you agree with hot hands, take plus 3.5 at plus 120. So that's a 3 round fight. That's 1 round into 3 rounds unanimously. But we'll keep it pushing here as we head over to Edmund Shahbazyan versus Andre Muniz. Striker versus submission wizard here. Shahbazyan coming off of a decision win, I believe, over Prochazka, who just got absolutely evaporated by Rouston on short notice. Then Muniz, he kind of fell off his career from back in the day where he was submitting everyone, even has a submission over Jacare Sosa, um, which is obviously one of the best, who's honestly one of the best practitioners that we've ever seen. But Edmund Shahbazyan, his strengths are obviously his early finishes, his dynamic striking, and he is well rounded in grappling. He did come into the UFC with some minor BJJ pedigree, uh, so it is there. I don't think it's on any type of a level comparison to Andre, but he does have that under his belt. His grappling offense is limited. Besides that, though, cardio tends to dip in the later rounds, and submission, like it's a concern for me against a guy like Muniz with his defense. Been sub before. Then you have Muniz, who's been aging. He just got absolutely violated by Ikram Askarov in his last bout. Southpaw guy, and he has a solid MMA base, a lot of experience, but his takedown defense is pretty weak too. Um, his path to victory is just to survive the early onslaught. But I feel like at any time he can snatch a sub if Shahbazyan gets lazy on the ground. So I I do think Edmund's gonna win this fight, but I feel like it's an easy way to play about it. I guess I think you have to play Andre Muniz submission no matter what as a hedge because I feel like that's the only way he wins this fight. So and you can get good enough odds that no matter if you had Shahbazyan or something, you want to be like safe and you don't want your parlay or two legger busted. You have Muniz by a sub, and that shit'll make up for whatever. So it's like a double play here. I still have flat. I think wasn't it Edmund who got subbed by fucking Gerald Mershart? I might be wrong, but he was a victim, so I think he can be a victim here. I'm gonna lean with him to get it done probably by KO though. Muniz got absolutely evaporated. I think it's first round KO for Shahbazyan. I don't think this one's going to the distance. If you're taking a look at betting wise, you, you can look at the first round knockout or knockouts minus 185 on DraftKings. They always have some of the spicier lines though. Um, if you're looking rounds 1 and 2, which with Shahbazyan's resume is wouldn't be the craziest thing. You're looking at knockout round 1 or 2 minus 125, which still doesn't excite me at minus money for that, but that's where I'm gonna side. How about you?
Yeah, I think Shahbazyan. He's. I mean, I don't think we know he's the way better striker. I think he's live for a KO here. I don't like the value on the prop though, minus 190. I think Munoz is mid and he only presents a BJJ threat, but Shahbazyan only got subbed by GM3, and if I'm remembering correctly, he beat the fuck out of GM3, dropped him, used all of his gas trying to finish him, and then got subbed. So yeah, because I'm pretty sure I hedged with GM3 by sub, and it was like fucking plus 800. I'm pretty sure that shit. It was something similar, but I think Shahbazyan learned from that. Uh, then we've seen Shahbazyan come out after that fight, get a knockout, and then he just went to 3 and got the decision win over Prochazka. So I think Shahbazyan's back in the right path after that loss, and I don't think Muniz is going to present a danger, even though he is a serious BJJ threat. I think Shahbazyan will find the KO before Muniz would be able to take him down. So give me Shahbazyan by knockout. I also think it's going to be early. I do like Shahbazyan's money line for some sort of parlay. I think the KO is kind of chalked. Paying up minus 190 for a KO. I don't like that, but you could play an early KO or Shahbazyan rounds 1 and 2 or Shahbazyan money line.
Yep, so we're leaning Shahbazyan here, but keep in mind Muniz does have some depth at all he has in this matchup. But for that, before the next part, we'll stop over here. Um, Per usual, just letting you know, Fade Factory Discord in the bio, free to join the Fade Factory. We want our official targets week to week, what we're putting in for each fight, parlay pieces, picks, fight to fight breakdowns. Now, with analysis more in depth than this because we have weigh-ins, we have another day of tape, another 2 days of tape. So we do give you as much information as we can here, and we do tape study thoroughly throughout the week. But gems for $10 a month or 25 for 3 months, they're getting invaluable amount of information. Typing stuff live during the fights. We're one fight to fight, and we're making money. And Dana White Contender Series is exclusively on our Gems platform, as well as PFL, who our PFL is coming up this weekend. We have stuff like Lux Fight League, BKFC occasional. We dabble in one once in a while, so we have a lot of different stuff in MMA Gems, not just UFC once a week. So give it a look. It's less than a fucking Taco Bell meal. $25 for a month. That's less than an eighth from if you're white, I guess. But we'll move on without further ado. Get ready to get
Yeah,
left.
well,
We have Ateba Gutierrez taking on Tristan Vines. So there's not a lot of lines here. I don't really want to talk much. I think they're just sacrificial lamb for Vines here. Ozzy Diaz was the first sacrificial lamb. He obviously pulled out. You got Vines here, who has been knocked out on the regional level. If I'm not mistaken, has lost on the regional level at the very uh taking on Teba Gautier, who is not just one of these random. You know how? Well, I guess I didn't explain it to you guys, but I usually, but Dana White Contender Series, we did it. You fade the underdeveloped African prospects that don't have solid gyms or haven't seen a lot of solid competition. Just as if you would say fade like an Asian prospect or an Indian prospect or someone from a less developed MMA country. This is not the case here. Gautier is pretty skillful and has fought decent competition, has surefire power, and I think what he's gonna do is just knock Tristan Vines clean the fuck out. So I think Hot Hand will probably have the same opinion, but swing it over to you real quick.
Yeah, Gutierrez is legit. He's probably one of my favorite prospects coming up, I would say. We've seen all levels of him. Contender series, he was fighting some Japanese dude that was a Olympic caliber wrestler. And Japanese does occasionally have very legit wrestlers come through the country. So with an Olympic level wrestler, this fight was interesting to me. And Gutierrez beat the shit out of him and then finished him with ground and pound TKO. But I think Gutierrez is going to walk through Vines. Vines is also coming up a weight class, so he's going to be getting hit with more power than he's used to because he's going up weight, and he's going to be fighting one of the hardest fucking punchers in Francis Ngannou Jr. here. So I think Gutierrez is going to drop him. I think he's going to KO him, walk through him. I want to say it's going to be round one, but I don't know because his KO straight, it's going to be way too juiced. So I would say, I guess, you could sprinkle KO round one, round two, and round three. Or no, I wouldn't say round three. I would say KO in round one and round two. And hope one of them two hit because I don't think there's going to be any value on the money line or his KO straight.
Yeah, the money line's out. That's about it from what I've been seeing. Minus 1100 is what I'm seeing it is on FanDuel right now. I could take a look ahead real quick just to see if the knockout or an underline came up, but Vines is pretty much just getting thrown to the wolves here. Yeah, I'm not seeing any lines popping up. We'll just keep pushing on this one. Joe Pyfer against Abus Magomedov. Uh, hold up, actually, I got Teba's lineup. Teba, he's moving his line. If you want to bet on a Teba money line, you might as well get it now because a couple books I'm seeing here minus 1800 as a line right now. Over 1.5 rounds is plus 600. So that's pretty ridiculous. Under 1.5 rounds, minus 900. So take that as you may. But we'll keep moving over to Joe Pyfer versus Abus Magomedov. Joe Pyfer with his knockout power and as well as his grappling, taking on Magomedov's well-rounded skill set as well with a lot of experience under his belt. Um, Joe Pyfer coming in this one after I wouldn't say disappointing, but a win against Kelvin Gastelum that wasn't as dominant as many people must have wanted to see, but he was dropping Kelvin Gastelum. Obviously, you're not going to knock out Kelvin Gastelum, so I guess you give him some credit there. Then you have a boost with the upset win over Michel Pereira, where he was a decent sized underdog in that one and ended up, I think, securing a 30-27 victory. So he gets this fight coming up. And for me here, it's uh, Joe Pyfer. I think the power's going to land here, and I'm going to boost his grappling. Where you look at it at where he would win the fight. I think in the striking, Pyfer has him. Pyfer has him in both technicality on the feet as well as power, and then also has something for him in the grappling game with the good jiu-jitsu as well. I think he's strong enough to stuff Abu's takedowns and win clinch moments. And then if you're looking at submissions, he has the lead. I just think that Joe Pyfer has a route here, mostly anyway. That I could see Pyfer being hesitant here. I saw some rumblings like he didn't want the fight, or he said that he took it because someone said he was scared, or some bullshit. Booz does have a path to victory if he can neutralize the striking, beat Joe Pyfer out in the grappling. So, no, it's not something that can't happen. It's about pacing and control. Pyfer's power is scary. But if Magomedov survives like the first 7.5 minutes, I can get a little dicey. But I'm gonna lean Pyfer here by knockout. That's what I'm gonna side with. But it might be getting a little wide if you're touching the -300. I think Pyfer has a side here. Boost at +250 is just getting hard to deny. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I like Pyfer here. I think he's more technical. I think he's the better striker, like you said, and a Boost is going to have the grappling edge. But Joe Pyfer also isn't no slouch. I knew that he had a wrestling background, but I also learned that he started BJJ and judo before he was even doing MMA or looking to compete in anything else. So, Pyfer is coming off that background. So I don't see Abusa's takedown offense really being successful in this fight. So I think Pyfer is going to let the power talk for himself. And people forget Pyfer only has one loss in the UFC besides breaking his elbow against Dalton Stoltzfus in the Contender Series, and that was a 5 rounder with Jack Hermanson. So I like Pyfer. I think the power and the striking is going to show, and I don't think Abusa's wrestling is going to cause any problems.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I like the KO/decision for Pyfer. That gets some of the chalk off the line.
yeah. I think that gets you to around -140, which I was actually surprised when I saw that. I think they're factoring in his submission possibility, but I don't foresee him submitting a boost here. So I think that you're getting a little bit of a robbery on the line if you're on the Pyfer side at -140. So that's what I'd side with as well. I forgot about that line. Keep things pushing though. We have Yusuf Zalal taking on Josh Emmett. Um, this is a pretty high ranked fight here over in this division. You have a classic showdown between power and veteran grip versus the youth precision and the wheels from Yusuf Zalal. Uh, Zalal's second stint in the UFC, obviously, if you remember earlier in his career, he was struggling, got some losses on there, even lost to Sung Hoo Choi, some crazy low level fighters that he was doing, then came back, figured himself out, and has been on a nice winning streak here, beating Calvin Qatar, some decent competition. So he has the reach advantage in this one, if I believe so, and his grappling as well as his striking game and getting on his wheel. And he's not much of a one punch knockout threat, but over the course of a fight, he has the ability to beat you up and make convincing decisions. His overall goal is to try to get these um decisions at the end of his bike. He frustrates fighters that stay in the pocket and want to box like Calvin Qatar did against them. And it makes them chase him around and he beats you over there and gets tired on points. Then you have Josh Emmett, who is one of the hardest hitters that the division has ever seen. He has fought absolute dogs. You look at his losses, it's like the likes of Lerone Murphy, Ilya Taporia. So we're talking some legitimate losses, and he has some solid wins as well. He uses his jab, or he 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 uses his jab, but he has good striking. He does get beat up a lot, and he's willing to get hit. Closes the distance well. He does have that heavy knockout power, like I stated before, and he has that experience in big fights, durable, and he can go deep in the rounds. I don't foresee him getting finished here whatsoever in this fight. Um, if anyone, it's going to be him getting the finish. The line's obviously juiced towards it. The over 2.5's at -300 around that. Um, you see the books agree on that side. You're not going to be able to play any overs at the lines. If you're looking at knockout only money line, though, I do like Josh Emmett -140 there. Uh, Obviously, that's his route, but I think that knockout only he is getting kind of juiced because you can get him at +360, +400, damn near, yeah, +360 as we speak right now. So as one of those plays that are like it's gonna void or it'll hit and it'll probably hurt if you didn't take his money line as well. Um, yeah, I'd probably go with that. It's a lot way too juice for my liking, especially with the one punch power of Josh Emmett. I will not be playing. Um, I won't be playing Zalal money line. anything, I'm gonna have to do the same game parlay magic on DraftKings like we usually do. Maybe do it as a law because even the 1.5 round is -6. If you do Zalal and over, we'll go over 9.5 minutes. So round 3 to start, pretty much. You're getting around -200, but that's still paying some juice. So that's probably the way you're gonna do it if you want Zalal. If not, you're gonna take Emmett knockout only money line or Emmett by knockout or Emmett money line. But I'm siding with Zalal to win by decision. But Emmett's one punch power is not to be like. How do you feel though?
Yeah, I think the value here is on Emmett. I mean, I don't think Emmett wins the fight, but with his power against Zalal, like I can pay that chalk on Zalal. I rather take that risk with Emmett because we've seen he got fucking that crazy right overhand that lands once and Zalal sleeping, and Zalal is a better grappler than he is striker. I mean, he has good striking, but we just seen him run the whole time. And if he was running from Calvin Cater, he isn't gonna try and exchange with Emmett. You know what I mean? Emmett has serious fucking boxing. He has power. He has good wrestling defense. So Zalal isn't gonna. Zalal won't take him down and be able to implement the BJJ unless Emmett is carelessly leaving his neck open and he's shooting. So I mean, I think Emmett has a puncher's chance in this fight. I mean, Zalal just is on his bicycle the whole time. So give me Emmett's spread. I like Emmett plus 7.5. I think Emmett lands one big shot, wobbles Zalal, could easily steal a round. I don't think Emmett gets finished whatsoever by Zalal. I also like Emmett's KO only money line, like Mike said. I don't think Zalal's going to try and exchange with Emmett, and Zalal definitely doesn't have that one shot power. So definitely give me the spread and the KO only.
Yep, and to some of these banger, banger, bang. That's a banger fight as well, but this is another banger, banger fight. Yuri Prochazka taking on Khalil Rountree. What could be an absolutely huge fight for the division. Um, Jiri, 37 fights in his under his belt, has already been he's a fan favorite. And then Khalil Rountree coming off the victory. All hell. Khalil Rountree, he's won 6 of his last 7 fights. And he showed improvement overall. Heavy power, good striking, Muay Thai base, durable in fights. He does have, um, I'd say mid striking defense under pressure, vulnerability to the unconventional striking. Uh, could pay, could make him pay in this one. Also, possible cardio issues. He did just go 5 rounds though. All right, so I won't harp on him too much there. Jerry's only been to one decision. Um, in 37 fights, which is something to pay attention to there. He starts strong, uses his movement. He does have lapses and rocked. Did get hurt very badly against Jamal Hill, who Khalil Rountree absolutely. He didn't finish him, but he was absolutely shitting on him. That this fight's gonna be pretty close. I just, for some reason, can't really see Jiri knocking Khalil Rountree out unless he's so fluid with his movement that he has Khalil baffled. I could see Khalil Rountree landing the bigger shots in this. Jiri getting overconfident, catching an overhand, and getting absolutely rocked, doing the chicken dance like we've seen a couple times before. It's gonna sound crazy, but I think I like look on Khalil Rountree spread. I think I could see it going the distance. I think Khalil Rountree's durability, he can last a Potan early. He's lasted. I know he's gotten knocked out in his career, and Jerry's not a finish guy, but that's where you either get Khalil Rountree at his money line plus 154 and get robbed in the cards if it ends up being a war, or you can get the plus 3.5. Still at plus money at plus 105, and you get covered if it goes to a battle and Khalil Rountree gets beaten around because he gets taken down or something. I think he can easily steal around if it goes. That's where I'm gonna side on this one. How about you though?
I think Roundtree is going to have the edge here. He has very, very mean leg kicks. He has a very good Muay Thai base, and Prochazka has like that light bounce on the feet, a lot of weird, funky movement, like karate type of style. And I think Rountree's leg kicks are gonna be the difference maker here. I think he's gonna see that racket tape and see how compromised Yuri's legs were. I mean, even though he was compromised. He kept moving forward, but I think that's going to be the downfall. I think Rountree is going to have the power to really sit Yuri down and not fade like Rakic did. I think that Pereira fight is going to be a huge confidence boost in Rountree. And I mean, Yuri's been at the top of this division for a while. And I think that there's going to be like a new face, and that's Khalil Rountree at the top. I think Khalil has the value as the dog here, and I do like the spread as well, Mike. Like you said, the plus 3.5 on Roundtree. But yeah, give me the value on the dog here.
I think there could also be some value on the over 1.5 minus 145. Um,
Yeah, I like that too.
yeah, I could see them going a little bit before the knockouts come. So that could be a look as well if you're not trying to play around with money lines in a contested fight like this. But overall, I'm gonna side with the value of Khalil Roundtree, but I can't tell you that I would be surprised. Obviously, Jiri came out here and used incredible movement, game plan for this fight well, stays out of harm's way, and picks apart Roundtree from the outside. But I just don't really see him coming out there and just sleeping Roundtree. Uh, so I'm gonna have to side with Roundtree with the spread. But we'll keep things moving to, I believe, the co-main event championship fight here. Corey Sandhagen and Rob Dvalishvili. Rob obviously him grappling side, Corey the striking side of the bout. Uh, Rob, he has that overwhelming pressure he's gonna bring on you. Ever he's probably the most elite cardio we've ever seen division. So you know what you're getting with him overall. Corey Sandhagen has good sprawls, but he did get tossed around by Nurmagomedov, and Rob has tossed around Mara Usman Nurmagomedov. So the MMA math right there for you is adding up a little bit. And you have, but what I'm looking at in this fight is how is Marab going to win? I'm fairly high confidence on Marab. Obviously, Sandhagen's a good striker, but I think that he's less of a quality fighter than Kumar, and we see how that went. So I'm going to have to ride with Marab regardless. I like his submission decision, double chance, Sandhagen never being knocked out. Can't see him laying down long enough to get volume TKO'd by some rabbit punches. So I don't think they'll call that on him. I'm liking the submission or decision money line for Marab or double chance for Marab minus 275. Light and some right there. That's on Bet365 that we saw that line. Uh, I can't see Corey. I guess Corey Sandhagen knockout only money line. I take a look at that, but I'm taking a guess and it's be a long line. Oh, actually, Corey Sandhagen knockout only money line minus 110. So if you're agreeing with me and you're thinking that Marab's not gonna knock him out, that could be a possible hedge spot there. A hedge and get your money back if Marab. I don't know. If you like the Corey Sandhagen side, knockout only money line could be the play. If you don't want to take the knockout and you want to possibly get your right back, I like Marab here. I'd even be almost at will to be able to say minus 5.5 at minus 120 is playable. I think he can win the fight 50-45 or 49-47 or 49-46. So that's how I view it. How do you view it, hot hand?
Yeah, you know what you're gonna get out of Marab. He sets up the striking, and then he goes and he shoots the double leg. If he doesn't get it, he's shooting again. So I think he has the edge here in this one, but I don't know. I don't want to take it because I think Corey Sandhagen is a real threat. I think he has funky. I mean, he has funky moves. He lands that flying knee. a lot, and he does create weird wrestling scrambles that he finds BJJ shit out of. And with Marab having a wrestle heavy game plan, I don't want to pay the chalk with an athlete like Corey Sandhagen that'd be throwing unpredictable shit. But I think we're either going to see a Corey Sandhagen but fantastic knockout and highlight reel, or we're going to see another grinding dominant performance out of Marab. So I like the double chance Marab decision or Corey KO, but I don't want to touch this fight too much. I think there's a lot of other better fights to bet on in this one.
Yeah, we got some juice on this card, and especially in this fight. I guess you could gamble and take the under 4.5 if Rob can get a sub, or Corey Sandhagen can get that knockout. You get under 4.5 at plus 260 on DraftKings. 5 round fight. That's a long time for an under to be that high. So I'll take a look at that too. But now we move to the main event where we have Magomed Ankalaev, Big Ank, taking on Alex Pereira in the rematch. Ankalaev, in my opinion, I had 4-1 on my live card in the first fight. Watching that unbiased. I'm a Potard fan. I'm also a Big Ank fan. I did have money on Big Ank at plus money in that fight. So maybe there was slight bias, but overall, I don't really think that Poton really had anything for him. He was getting held up against the cage, and I could see it happening again here. I could see Ank getting into his grappling, um, understanding the base that Pereira had, and I don't think enough time has passed for Pereira to make any type of transcendent leap in the grappling department. And he's just relying on that knockout punch. And Ankalaev was outstriking Pereira as well. I think Alex Pereira was very timid on the feet, and he's too slow for the reaction time. I think Ankalaev's live for a finish here, and he did stun Pereira. So I'm gonna ride with Magomed Ankalaev with some decent degree of confidence. I don't want to fade Chama, who's my guy, but I think that Ankalaev has a clear edge here, and even the striking realm, just not the power. Just the overall speed of his hands and what he brings to the table, the clinch game and everything. I think that Magomed Ankalaev is gonna defend the belt here, and depending on what happens in that Khalil Rountree fight, that could be a big fight. But I could see Ankalaev Jiri, depending on how the cards play out, um, on Saturday. But I'm gonna have to ride with Ankalaev here. He was almost my pick for the podcast collab, but I didn't want to fade Chama for the collab. How do you feel about this one for the main event?
Yeah, it pains me to say it's a sad time in UFC when there's another Dagestani Russian. He has the belt. He has that slow, grinding pace type of fight style, and he's about to beat the fan favorite Pereira again. Last fight, he dropped him. Uh, Pereira was definitely hesitant on the feet. When when he got dropped, it looked like he was about to throw a body kick, and he stepped into pocket to throw it, and he just froze. And then Ankalaev landed. I think it was the right hand that sat him down. But I think Ankalaev is going to find success with the wrestling here. I think Pereira is going to be like, I gave him too much respect on the feet, and that's why I lost. So I think he's going to try and throw more, and Ankalaev is going to be able to catch Pereira trying to enter the pocket, and I think he will find takedowns and success. And even if he doesn't, I still think he has that wrestling edge. He's going to grind control time in the clinch and pull out another victory on Pereira. So give me Big Ank. I like his money line. I definitely think it's good for a little like 2-legger, 3-legger,
And
whatever the case may be.
some fighter props have dropped. A couple of them, just 3 fights. Magomed Ankalaev takedown line over 1.5 at plus 100 right now. How do you feel
Yeah,
about
it's
that?
that's definitely not bad. I definitely like that.
That's
Like
gonna
I
move.
said, I think Pereira was hesitant on the feet last fight. Like he definitely didn't fight like himself, and I think he's gonna be like, all right, you know what? I gave this fucker too much respect. Let me come out here and let me do what I do, and that's why I think Ankalaev is gonna find the success because I think Pereira is gonna open up more on the feet.
Also, Jiri 1+ takedown plus 250.
I don't think Yuri's taking down fucking Khalil, bro. Khalil is built like I don't know, bro. He's short and thick. I don't think Yuri's gonna shoot in that fight, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the odds there. Sandhagen plus 200 for it. Marab takedown line at over 5.5 at minus 165.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. Over 5.5.
But yeah, but the only one I'm really interested in are that I'd probably take maybe a stab at Jiri. I think that if he gets hurt, maybe he can go for a takedown, but that's fair. That Ank one, I'm interested. I'm probably gonna lock that in right now because I could see that moving to minus one pretty quickly. 1.5 takedowns in a 5-round fight. I think he can get at least two fight, even though he wasn't able to get them last fight. But before that, before we move on from there, we have our collab play here. Me and Hot Hand, the Shadow Realm collab. Uh, he has Soriano by knockout. I have to go a little bit wild. Not a lot of submission card besides like Marab or like taking a shot on like a dog like Brahimaj. There's not really a lot of sub chances. Originally, Hot Hand wanted Macy Chiasson. We're gonna stay away from women's this card. I'm gonna be pissed if she gets a sub though. Patchy Mix is obviously another chance for.
I'm betting the sub.
Patchy Mix is
So.
another chance for a submission. So we didn't want to take that in here either because of the next reason we're gonna show you. But this is our two-legger. You're getting plus 1340 on the two-leg on. Great odds for a two-leg. You know what I mean? Basharat with 6 submission victories out of his 13 overall, and Gutierrez lacks in the grappling department. So I think that that's possible. And then Soriano by knockout against Nikolay Vertenikov, who has been knocked out and is going to want to keep this one on the feet. So you have 2 plays here. It's obviously a longer shot play. That's what we're here for. Hopefully those guys get choked out. And then last but not least, MMA Gems Collab Parlay. This was sent out yesterday to our Gem members first. They're going to get it first every week on Wednesday nights. And then after that, following that, they're going to be your Twitter followers and Instagram, and then you guys will get it on Thursday. So if you want to get it at the best odds or right when it's dropped, you might get to follow Moneyline Mike on Twitter, Instagram, Hot Hand on Twitter, Instagram, Hot Hand MMA on Twitter, and as well as the YouTube or the join the Discord, of course. Gems. That's where first. We have Marab from me, Joe Pyfer, double chance as well from Hot Hand, and then Mo, who is not with us today, has some high degree of confidence Patchy Mix in this contest. So we're gonna trust Mo's intuition. It's sketched out on him. I'm gonna lean Patchy Mix too. So you're getting that 3-legger at plus 214 on Bet. I don't know what it is now, but that is very good value for these 3 favorites. So on that note, I'm gonna leave you guys. Obviously, thank you per usual for tuning in. Shout out to Max. Uh, he tunes in every week from Australia. It's bright and early over there, and I know he has his notebook out. He's getting ready to lock in. He's a Gems member for months on months, and he's paid for his subscription tenfold, 100%. So, uh, we're just gonna leave you on that. Thank you for joining, and be at the cash counter per usual.